So where we left our hero Carell was having just learned how to repeat. Worthy of repetition, in fact, that these are the two things upon which all programming, the whole world, is built. Loops, and what we're going to do today, if-else conditional blocks, or as is put here, if statements. Really, these two things are the two most fundamental things to all coding. And I can even right now, just go on over to any programming environment that I've got open, and you're going to see if, else, and you're going to see looping. What else have I got? I got another version of this. Where here? And it'll be calls to functions like we've seen before, and loops, and if-else conditional blocks. I didn't set this up. This is just whichever programming language you go to, you're going to see those two things. So watch through the video, and again, just in case you're jumping in halfway through maybe this series, or if you're even not one of the virtual students, but one of the live students here, the way to use these videos that I'm producing right now is to watch through to get an overview of what you should be looking for and to get my take on things, and then go back and look through Jeremy Keegan's video and quiz and so on and so on. Okay, so, but yeah, stick with me first. This will be the example that he will have shown you. And the other thing I guess that I spent a whole lot of time in class talking about is how, of all the things, if I just went back momentarily, of all these things that Code High School teaches you through the Carell unit, based on this classic book out of Carnegie Mellon University called Carell the Robot, A Gentle Introduction to Programming, all these things can be taught, and really, really well, with the function calls and the loops and the whiles in particular. But the one thing that's a little bit problematic with this environment to teach is if statements. So it's a little bit clunky, a little bit, I don't know how to put it, just doesn't work all that well compared to other things. But it's only the ifs, and I've got some solutions. And so I'll spend half of this video showing what those solutions are. But for now, let's just go through again where we were with Jeremy. And he leaves us after the first video with this example program. That, okay, if we trace through it, move, fair enough, he's moved. And now look at his situation. He's in front of a hurdle. So we're saying if the front is clear, he can move again, but it's not clear. So watch what happens. Check to see if the front is clear, and is not. So that's it. He doesn't run into the hurdle because he only moves if the front is clear. The thing that you got to get straight right away with the if is that what follows in the parentheses is a condition. And that condition will evaluate to either true or false. So whatever it is that follows the if, it could be, 2 is equal to 2, and, that means and. 4 is less than, or sorry, greater than 10. This gets really complex really quickly, and I will evaluate this for you, that 2 is equal to 2, so that part is true, but both parts have to be true because it says and. 4 is not greater than 10. So this overall compound, getting to be complex situation overall evaluates to false. And it can go on and on and on and on, but ultimately whatever is here in this if ultimately boils down to true or false. And so we had front is clear, which is a function. You know it's a function because you can see the open and close parentheses. And that function evaluates to either true or false. And in this case, having just moved over toward the hurdle, what it evaluates to is false. And when whatever follows the if is false, we do not do what's in the braces that follow. only if this is true, only if this evaluates to true, do we do what is in the parentheses. You know what I could do to make this exercise a little bit more useful is if I just took this out or commented it, no, I'll take it right out, and I reset this. Now think about it. He's going to start here and immediately go into this condition that's either going to be true or false. Well, let's go. Is it true now that front is clear? Yeah, it is, because right in front of him it is clear, so he will move. So this if block does actually execute. We do actually get inside to line 4. Watch when I go. He's going to move, and we're going to see that he's moved with line 4. Right, and he did. So, yeah, what follows the if evaluates to either true or false. I'll say this one more time. If it's true, you get in and you do what's inside the braces. If it's false, you don't. Let's move on. There's another example from the first video. And we'll just think about it as we go through. A little bit more complicated because from the start we're calling a method, but you should be used to that by now. So it's going to go line 1, line 2, save take ball. What's that? Oh, it's a function down here. So we go down to line 7 and we get in and we do line 8. And it's at line 8 where we'll have a decision to make. So reset, let's just trace through it. Start, save take ball. Go down to function, save take ball, 7 and 8 lines. And at 8, an if line with the condition ball's present. So think about that. What's ball's present going to indicate if it's true? What's ball's present going to indicate if it's false? Well, that there are balls there, that there are tennis balls there. So we ask the question, is it true or is it false that right now when we get to line 8, balls are present? Where he's at, no. There's one in front of him, but there's not one where he's at. So this is false. And so he won't make the error of trying to take a ball, which is good. So we're going to skip this take ball and come back to where this function was called, which is line 2, and we'll move on to line 3. So watch. We're not going to go here. We go right back up to the next line, move, and he's already moved. And then we call save take ball again. Fair enough. So we're going to go down to line 7 and into 8. Right, here we go. And again, we're testing to see if it's true or if it's false that balls are present. And now where he is, there is a ball present. So this evaluates to true. And since it evaluates to true, we get into the block of code, and that block of code says take ball. So test turns out to be true, go in and take ball, and he does. And then we just get back, well, we're finished basically. We come back to where this was called, we go to the end of the function start, and that's it. So, main takeaway so far is whatever follows the if evaluates to true or false. And I think I don't mind going back to one of the coding environments and finding an if else, like here. Quite often what follows the if, well, it can look all sorts of different ways, and this is the one that I just randomly have pulled up here. This says sets or numbers equals set. Well, what sets or numbers? I don't even know. Sets or numbers is a string, which means the word, and we're taking in a line. So, I mean, just without getting into a whole bunch of Java, this is asking you, what do you want to do? Do you want to work with sets or do you want to work with numbers? And they're going to type something. The user's going to type something. In fact, I think I could even show you this right away because this is right at the beginning of the program. Let me just run this. I think you'll get it. This is Java. And if nothing else, the next minute and a half is going to show you that it's the same stuff. It's always the same stuff. If, else, if, else, if, else, if, else. So just watch this. This, by the way, is the program that we installed the last class that I'll install with you guys when you get back. We're not using it yet, though, right? We're not using it. This is just me showing you that if-else conditional blocks, just like the for loops, are the same everywhere. So this is this line. Do you want to work with sets of numbers or individual numbers? Do you want to work with sets of numbers or individual numbers? Type set or num. So I'm going to type set so that that's true. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and I'm going to type set, right? So then what's going to be taken in will be set, because that's what I typed. So that means I'm going to do this, right? Because that's going to be true. The whole point of me jumping over here is that what follows an if in just about all programming languages, if not all programming languages, is something that evaluates to true or false. In this case, it's true. So then I go on and I do some other function that's being called blah, 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 blah. But I could have run it again and typed something other than set, and it would have gone to the else. I'll show you. This will be the last thing. I said a minute and a half. That's probably, whoops, what did I do? Cancel. So now I'll just, I'll type something other than set. So it says set or num. I can type anything else, because if I type anything else, then it's not going to equal set. So I'll go enter, and it should come down to this line, right? Because, I'm jumping ahead. Yeah, I'm jumping ahead. So just hold that thought, because the next thing we're going to look at is if else. So let's continue. And you can work at this, read through it. It's almost too simple, so it'll trip you up, but take your time. I better read through it. If there's a ball in the first spot, move once. Otherwise, just put a ball and move on. So the ending world, he's always got to have a tennis ball there, right? So if there's a tennis ball, then he just moves. But if there's not a tennis ball, he's got to put one first and move. Okay. And yeah, you might have noticed that I clicked here before. Now, from this point on, and I don't even think that it's mentioned in the video actually, so you'll either have stumbled upon this yourself or you'll have watched my video through first. And check this out. Now there are two worlds. One world, there's a tennis ball there. In another world, there's not. So you've got to do the code that will work in both worlds. Basically, it's going to be if, okay, tennis ball is present, then you're going to do something. You're going to just move, right? I'm going to do it. If, now the question now is, well, what things can be true or false? And the video will have shown you this, but you can always go to the docs, because the docs will show you everything that's available to you, all the way from the built-in commands to now these conditions. And there they are. And I think this was covered in the video as well. But there are a bunch of conditions. Like think of Corel, the front is clear, left is clear, both of those would be true here. The right is clear, no. In this case, no. And then blocked, front is blocked, in that case, no. Left is blocked, no. Right is blocked, yes, his right is blocked. And then also north, south, east, west, which way he's facing. So right now, it's true that he's facing east. It's false that he's facing south and west and north. And then this one, balls present or no balls present. So let's go back and say, okay, we want a ball to be there. So if no balls present, then he needs to put a ball, and one way or another he's got to move. Since it's one way or another, we don't put it within the braces of the conditional block, because we always want him to move. So watch this, and then I'll explain this all again. I think this is actually a good one to slow down and explain to you. So reset, we're in the world where there is no tennis ball to begin with, and we test. If no ball is present, it's true that there's no balls present, so we're going to put a ball. And then we get out of the if-else conditional block and we move. But if we go to the other world and reset it, this world where there is a tennis ball to begin with, then we don't need to put another one because there's only supposed to be one there. So we're going to reset, we're going to test that condition. Is it true that there are no balls present? And if you think about that as a double negative, but it is true, it's not true that there are no balls present. See the double negative? So we don't want to put a ball, and we won't. We're going to skip it, but we're still going to move because that's the way that we're supposed to end this. Watch through that one again. That actually is quite a good one to let things sink in. So I'm glad that I went through it. Right, and so here's where this little fun thing else snuck up on us in this video. And that's what this is about. And it's not that big of a deal, so I'm just going to go straight to the exercise, and I think this is probably taking up enough time, so we'll wrap this up fairly quickly, in fact, or this part of it. Explore this example. So yeah, now there's an if and an else. The point with this is sometimes you just want to do an extra thing. If I just cut that out, sometimes you just want to do an extra thing. If the front is clear, you want to move. But sometimes you want to do one thing or the other. It's much more clear actually in my Java example over here, because this is saying basically it's a calculator, and you're either working with individual numbers, like 2 plus 4, or a set of numbers. You're working with a whole bunch of numbers, and you're doing something to each one of them. So, you're doing this or this. You're working with a set or just regular numbers. Or. That's the thing, right? You want to do one thing or the other. So here, you do something or you do something else based on the condition. If true, you do the one thing, or else you do the other. If, else. That will happen, or that will happen. Over here, this will happen if front is clear, or that will happen if front is clear is not true. Do we have more than one world? No, just one world. So let's just take a look through. We're going to move. And then if front is clear, false. So we're not going to move, but we are going to do something. We're simply going to turn left, which is kind of useless, frankly. That's why we're going to move on and do some other stuff here next. Front is clear? Nope. So we go to the else block instead. We turn left. And that's basically it. So this is where things not fall apart. They just don't work that well in Code High School. And you could do this one, but like he doesn't even make a J. It's called make a J. I just don't think it's very good. So you're going to skip this one. You can do that one. It's a little bit. Yeah, see if you can try that one. Right, he's got two worlds. That world and that world. So if, basically, I'll give it away here, but it's not that much code. It's like if he's facing south and you want him to face east, what does he got to do? Else, if he's facing west, he does something else to be able to be facing east. So, I don't know, does it tell me the time here? Wow, 19, oh, we can go. Okay, now I'm going to do the next part, in fact, as a separate video, just because it's going to the sandbox and making your own lessons, and you probably want to go back and look at this one again anyway. So this is not the end of this last lesson, which was yesterday, the 1st of September. You need to carry on and look at the next video. But the next video is going to show you stuff about making your own worlds that you'll want to be doing again and again and again. So you stop this, watch the Jeremy videos if that makes most sense to you right now, but definitely come back and look at the part 2 for September 1st.